Morning, Olu. I was just wondering if you could give us an evaluation of how JB Nelson did this preseason camp.
Yeah, no, JB's been great. I mean, I think everyone on the program or in the program knew how talented JB was, but I think this preseason he took a very big step in not only his development but just everything all around. And I, alongside with everyone else in the program, is extremely excited for JB.
Tyler Donahue.
Hey there, Olu. Hope you're doing well today.
Thank you. Hope
Sorry, I
you are
got
too.
my kid home. My kid's home sick, and she's swatting me with her snack cup right now. So I apologize for that. But
Okay.
I wanted to ask about another one of your fellow offensive linemen, Caden Wallace. I mean, by all accounts, it sounds like it's been a very productive 2023 for him. Can you talk about what you've seen, maybe in some changes from Caden and his development, and really specifically, most recently, preseason camp, what he put out there on the field?
Yeah, no, I mean, Caden's had a great preseason as well. I mean, you can tell by the way that he's been competing and working this camp that, clearly he's putting a lot of work this off season, and it showed a lot during preseason. So, just like JB, I'm extremely excited for Caden as well.
Frank Boudin.
Hi, Olu. Nick Singleton, Katron Allen. How do you see better from them this year from last year? Any differences? How would that look to you?
Um, could sorry, like could you reword that?
Yeah, just Nick and Katron. How are they better this year, you think, than last year's version? How does that
uh,
look? What does that look
I
like to you?
mean, I mean, with them, even though they were just freshmen last year, they're amazing. But I mean, through a complete off season with the program and Coach Losi and the training staff, both of them, alongside all of our running backs, are all bigger, faster, and stronger. So I mean, that as a running back can only be a good thing. So I mean, there's been a ton of improvement in that room, and during camp, it was very obvious to see that they're a lot better than they somehow still a lot better than they were last year. So.
Audrey Snyder.
Hey, Olu, good morning. Thanks for your time. I wanted to ask you about Drew Shelton. What kind of preseason did he have? Obviously, I know he was working both the left and the right side, and how have you maybe kind of seen him take that next step?
Yeah, no, I mean, with Drew, he had a great last year, filling in for me for the last portion of the year, and he took that momentum with him all off season. And as you said, he's been playing both left and right tackle, which has been good for him in terms of getting reps and just his overall development. So I think he should be a crucial part for our offensive line in terms of rotation and just getting in good game time. So I think, myself and the entire offensive line were extremely proud of Drew for the way he's been competing. And, just like I've said with Caden and JB, I'm extremely excited for him this season.
Donnie Collins.
Hi, Olu. How important has it been for you guys to have a guy like Hunter with his experience to be able to step in for a guy who like Juice, who was similarly experienced and that kind of a leader too?
No, it's been great. I mean, with Hunter, he something interesting for Hunter is that the amount of detail, the amount of like attention to detail he takes with everything he does in terms of his process, it's amazing. And to have someone like him, step into that center role, a year after losing Juice, it's basically been, almost like no difference in terms of production. Hunter, he stepped in and took that role that Juice had immediately. And, some might think it'd be a drop off, but if anything, Hunter has just stepped in and, there's almost no difference made to the O line in terms of losing Juice. So, really proud of Hunter, really excited for him.
Donnie McGonigal.
Yeah, Olu, I'll continue this very long train of asking you about your teammates. With Sal Wormley, what has he shown you over the last few months? And yeah, he's a guy who feels like he might fly under the radar a little bit there at right guard.
Yeah, no, I mean, Sal's a dog. I mean, just the way that, I think that we have, the best D line in the country, but the way he competes against the D tackles day in and day out. I mean, again, just again with the way he competes, not only is he getting himself better, but he's definitely getting the D line better as well. And just like I've been saying the whole time, I'm really just excited for Sal this year. I think this year should be a big year for not only the entire offensive line, but for Sal specifically.
Mark Wogenrich.
Hey, Olu, thanks for doing this today. You just mentioned about the defensive line being the best in the country. What makes you say that? And then who was your toughest opposition during training camp?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, being on the same team as the Penn State D line, there's going to be a certain bias, in my own opinion. I just think, guy for guy, talent for talent. I don't think anyone in the country compares to ours. But again, that's probably just a personal bias for myself. And during training camp, I'd say the toughest D lineman to go against was probably, it's obviously going to be Chop Robinson, Adisa, Dennis Sutton. But someone who's really going to have a big role this year, in my opinion, is Zariah Fisher. He's had a great training camp, and I'm really excited for him this year.
Seth Engel.
Hey, Olu, thanks for doing this. So you missed the last couple games of last season. Where would you kind of pinpoint your health right now? And how would you also kind of grade just where you are in your career generally? Thanks.
Yeah, I'm completely healthy right now, and right now I'd say I'm in a pretty good spot in terms of my career and my development. But obviously my goal every day in and day out is to just get better. 1% better every day. I know Coach Franklin stresses that a lot, but that's something that I truly abide from. I can't. I don't think overnight success, is possible in any terms of, college football or professional sports. Everything takes a process, and that's something that, I truly understand. So with myself, it's all about just getting consistently better day in and day out.
Shane Thomas.
Hey, Olu, thank you for doing this. First thing I wanted to ask is you could have been a top 10 pick in the NFL. What made you want to come back? And what ultimately, was it more football or was it more academics?
No, I mean, it was a combination of both, with Penn State and how great it's been since I came here, June of 2020. It's been a great 3.5 years so far. And, obviously this semester I have the opportunity to graduate, and combining that with, another opportunity to just go out and compete with my brothers, made that decision to come back a lot easier.
Ron Snyder.
Thanks for doing this, Olu. Just wanted to ask you, how important with a new quarterback under center for this game with Sean gone? Is it important for you guys to set the tone up front, just to give him some confidence in the first few series in the first quarter, as just the beginning of the game?
Yeah, no, obviously that's going to be extremely important. Giving whoever's in that quarterback, all the time in the world in the pocket to make his read, make the right decision. But that's not. I don't think that should really be an emphasis for the O-line. I think that should always be the case, whoever's in, just to give the quarterback as much time in the pocket and to create lanes for the running backs.
Hannah Mears.
Hi, to piggyback off of that question, Olu, in terms of having two of the best running backs in the entire NCAA right now, how is the offensive line making sure that they're going to level up this year to make sure that they're getting the best out of what those guys can produce on the field to help your offense as much as possible?
Yeah, for the running backs, I mean, in terms of that, it's just making sure that we do our jobs. You know, if we with guys like Nick and Katron and the rest of our running backs, you know, all of them are the type of guys that can make something happen out of nothing. But obviously we never want to put them in that position. So for us, it's all about just doing our jobs, you know, doing the correct blocking assignments and, you know, dominating our matchups to open up, you know, lanes as big as whatever for our running backs to run through.
Daniel Gallen.
Olu, you mentioned, whoever's going to be back there at quarterback on Saturday night. Over this past month, what was it like for you watching the competition between Bo and Drew, and what really stood out to you about that?
Yeah, I mean, between Bo and Drew, I mean, they're both great guys, but they're also great competitors. I mean, both of them have been making plays in their own ways throughout camp, and again, I think this camp was really important for both of them in terms of development, you know, with Sean gone and that, quarterback position open. I think they've done a great job, and I think they've both put, you know, a great argument for either of them to be, you know, in that conversation to be a starting quarterback.
Rich Scarcella.
Oh, if I could ask you a two-parter. First of all, how are you guys on the offensive line? How do you deal with the expectations, everybody nationally at least praising you? And secondly, can you give me an evaluation of how Javen Williams did in preseason? Thank you.
Oh, sorry, could you repeat that? My connection was bad.
Okay. The first part is, how do you guys on the offensive line deal with the expectations, not just locally, but nationally? And also, what kind of preseason camp did Javen Williams have? Thank you.
Yeah. So, in terms of expectations, you know, we don't really, not only as an offensive line, but just as a program, we're not really too concerned with the opinions outside of our building and locker room. And, this season, I've really felt that, in terms of expectations, no one has bigger expectations than ourselves. So it's all about just, consistently getting better every day, just not being complacent with wanting to get better. And in terms of Javen, I thought he's had a great camp. He had the opportunity to get a lot of reps. And I think that's really important for a freshman to, for his development, just getting those reps against other, college football players, with him being less than a year removed out of high school. So I think that's been great for his development, and, I'm extremely excited for him.
I have two more questions. Audrey Snyder.
Olu, I wanted to ask, what's the most impressive play you saw Drew Aller make this preseason? Was there a moment that stood out to you?
That's kind of a hard question, but I think the one play that kind of stood out to me, it was during it was like at the end of practice, we had a 2-minute drill, and he completely just I don't know. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it was kind of like a perfect pass. He placed it perfectly in the hands of one of our receivers, in the middle of a field. That receiver didn't really have, the best separation, but the type of ball that Drew threw, he kind of quite literally just threaded the needle. So that's a type of play that really makes you excited to block for a guy like that. So just in terms of that, seeing plays like that, it gets you really excited to see the type of potential that our quarterback room has.
Final question, Donnie Collins.
Well, what does a better season than 2022 look like for you in your own mind? What do you have to do to kind of prove to yourself that I improved a lot this year?
Sorry, my Wi-Fi is kind of like that. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. What do you have to do this year to prove to yourself that you had a much better season than 2022? What ways do you think you need to improve even after a great season?
I mean, I think for myself, in terms of proving myself, I think that the game film, this year is going to speak for itself in terms of, my improvement. I think that for myself, I don't really need to prove to myself to know that I've improved. I've definitely put in the work this off season, and not only myself, but Coach Trotwine, the rest of the offensive line, Coach Losi and the strength staff, the amount of hours that they've put in to me in terms of my development. I think that for me, I'm not really concerned about, trying to see if I've really improved. All I'm really concerned about is just trying to help the team win. And, at the end of the day, if I just do my job, on the offensive line, I know that I'm putting my team in the best position to win.